Over the past 4 years, I've been collecting all sorts of Rubik's Cubes, from just the classic 3x3 Rubik's Cube to some of the strangest and most mind-bending puzzles you've ever seen. I even have an unboxed Rubik's Cube that I will open at the end of the video. There will be a hint somewhere random during the video as to what it may be, so stay tuned and enjoy the video. I present to you my Rubik's Cube Collection 2024. Let's start off with the 3x3 Rubik's Cubes. I have over 20 3x3 Rubik's Cubes that I've collected over the years. Let's start with the mini Rubik's Cubes. This one I do not recommend getting. It's a very old mini 3x3 Rubik's Cube and it doesn't even have the right color scheme. This one is much better though. I unboxed it in one of my recent videos and it has a keychain on it, but I don't know where it went. And finally, this is a GAN 3x3 mini cube. If you look closely, it actually says GAN on every single one of its faces. Here are all of my GAN cubes. This one is the GAN 11M Pro. It's the first real speed cube that I got. This is the GAN 11M Duo that I got shortly after the M Pro. I don't remember exactly why. I think it's one of my friends who gifted it to me. This is the GAN 12. And finally, this is the UV coated GAN 13. These are all of my past and current mains. This is the X-Man Tornado V3. It is one of my favorite cubes and it's arguably probably the best speed cube in the world right now. This is the Yo Cube Deluxe, which sticker fell off, which I'm actually really sad about. And this is the first ever Yo Cube, and I'm really happy to be one of the OGs who have this. The logo is really dirty, but it still looks cool. Here are the rest of my speed cubes. This is RS3M 2020. This is the YJ Yulong V2, I think. And if you're wondering why it has a different weird logo on it, this is a Cubing Out Loud logo, which is like a cubing company in Canada. I got it from one of my competitions. This is the MS Cube, MS something, whatever. This is the Dian Tengyun V1. It is known as one of the quietest cubes ever made. Just listen. And finally, this is the J-Prim cube. I never really liked this cube. It kind of used to be my main-ish, but that was before I got all of the good cubes. Here are the rest of my non-magnetic cubes. This was the first ever full-size Rubik's Cube I've had. I mean, turning this just gives me a lot of nostalgia for when I just starting to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. This is a random Chi cube that I got a few years ago. It's not great and the color scheme is very strange. Look at this light blue, and I have a few more cubes like this. You'll see here, these two are basically the same cube. This one, me and my friends drew on it, and this one, I just removed the springs from it. This is my Yushin Little Magic that I also unboxed recently. It's actually not that bad. It's probably the best non-magnetic cube that I have. Look how fast I can turn it. This is a random cube I traded a square one for with my friend, which I still regret to this day. And here are my two smart cubes. This one is my newest one. It's the GAN iCarry 2, which is the new iCarry. And this is, I believe, the GAN i2. But I'm not exactly sure because I just got a gift from this from a random person. Here are some cubes that I have that are kind of similar to 3x3, but not exactly. This one's the Halloween cube that I got from Speedcube shop actually a few years ago, so this is quite outdated. This is a concave cube that I also got from the Cubing Out Loud competition. That's why I put a sticker on as well. This is a Lego cube. It's not fully made of Lego. I don't think you can see from the inside, but inside there's a normal core. It's just the outside stickers are replaced with Lego pieces. Now you may be wondering, how are these two even remotely similar to a regular 3x3 Rubik's Cube? Let me show you. This turns exactly like a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. Same with this. Yeah, I don't really know the point of these cubes. They're basically just 3x3s that turn worse and kind of hurt your hands. And I even have another one of these sitting in a box somewhere. But hold up, we're not done yet because we have this monstrosity at last with a cube head logo on it. I think I got this for one of my birthdays and I was really happy to have this because now I could finally say I have a huge cube in my collection. And also, this is far from the biggest cube you can get online. There's so many websites like Speedcube Shop, The Cubicle, that sell way bigger cubes than this. This is kind of just the start. You can get some that's like almost twice the size of this. So just pointing that out. Here are the rest of my N by N puzzles. N by N basically means like 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, etc. So let's start with the mini keychain 2x2 that once again I lost the keychain itself. I really like this cube and especially like the pillowy design of it. This was my first ever 2x2. It is in line of earlier Chi 3x3s that I showed you guys. Wait, let me just pull up one right now. Yeah, like this one. They have the exact same color scheme. It's from like the same series. This is the MGC 2x2. This was my main for a very long time until I switched to the MGC Elite, which is much better, and I believe it's one of the best 2x2s on the market right now. Finally, this is a very bad cube. I think it's the MFJS 2x2, and whatever you do, please do not flip to the orange side. Here are my 4x4 Rubik's Cubes. This was once again my first 4x4 in the same lineup with the 2x2 and the 3x3 with the weird color schemes. And this is a jelly 4x4. It's not actually made of jelly, it's hard plastic. This is my main 4x4. And in case you're wondering why I have so many stickered N by N puzzles, it's because they all came from my first cubicle order, which I didn't know at the time, but they had the stickered option selected as default. So I didn't know that, and I ordered a bunch of stickered cubes, which I still kind of regret to this day. These last two cubes look very similar, but they're actually very different. This one's the Meilong 4x4, which is a really good budget option, but I'm gonna tell you guys, this breaks really often. It broke a bunch of times, and every time I had to spend like a few hours fixing it, and it's really frustrating, and it makes you really want to turn slower, which really affects your speed. So if you can, please do get the other one, which is the Aosu. This one is very durable. It's never broken once, and it has a very glossy like surface. Yeah, I forgot the word for it, but it just feels good on the outside. It has a good grip. Here are all of my 5x5s. This 5x5 is, you can guess it, it's the same lineup as like the other 4x4 and 3x3 that have this weird color scheme. But this time, I have two of them for some reason, and I'm glad I did because one of them, I broke this corner. I don't know how that happened, but at least I have a fully functioning one. This is, I believe, the Meilong 5x5, and this kind of proves my point that the whole Meilong series is not very durable. As you can see, I broke this, and to this day, I still can't find the centerpiece that goes here. This is one of the most underrated cubes in my opinion. It's the Chi MS 5x5, and it feels so good for such a low price. And I'm so annoyed that I got this in the sticker version, because imagine how good this would be in the stickerless version. I highly recommend getting this. This is actually flagship material in my opinion. It actually feels so smooth, and it feels really fast and really controllable at the same time. And it would be my main 5x5 if it wasn't for this cube. It's the Weilong Ao in the Ao series. I'll put it on screen right here, but I forgot what it's called right now. And this cube is so good. It narrowly surpasses the other cube, but I still think you should get this if you're on the tight budget. This cube is so underrated. And funnily enough, I actually got this puzzle from a mystery box from a recent unboxing. You can go check that out if you want to. And here are the rest of my big cubes. This is the MGC 6x6, which once again, it's stickered. This is the MGC 7x7, and the MGC series is just so good. Like, how can you make a 7x7 cube turn this well? And finally, this is an 8x8, and funnily enough, it's actually not part of the Chi series that I was showing you earlier. As you can see, they still have the same color, but you can see this one reflects light a little bit because it uses a different material, while this one doesn't really reflect light. And I actually solved this cube while jumping on a trampoline once in this video that I will put on the card right here. These are all of my pyramid shaped puzzles. This is my main Pyraminx, the X-Men Bell, and I like it because it's so heavy. I really like heavy cubes, but if you don't, you could get the Gan Pyraminx. Well, obviously this is very expensive, but this is a good investment if you like heavy cubes, especially Pyraminxes. And this was my first ever Pyraminx, which is, you guessed it, in line with all of the old 3x3s. This, if you're a real cuber, you would know what this is called. It's called a Master Morphinx, and this actually works the same way as a normal 3x3 Rubik's Cube. You may struggle to see how, but I'm gonna try my best to show you here. As you can see, it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 3x3. And you can turn it the other way as well. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3x3. This is my 4x4 pyraminx, and I've actually never tried to solve it. I should probably do it in a future video sometime. Stay tuned for that. And finally, these two puzzles are the exact same thing, just one stickered and one stickerless. And they actually work the exact same way as a normal pyraminx does, except they have centers, which you can see they can be placed if you just do 3 times of that sledgehammer thing, and you can see all the centers are misplaced, while if you do that on a regular pyraminx, you can see it's solved. So this kind of adds an extra layer of difficulty, but it's not really difficulty, it's kind of just annoying. Here are the rest of my WCA puzzles. Let's start off with, you can guess it, it's the same Chi lineup with the weird color scheme. This was my only cube for a long time before I got the Yushin Little Magic cube, which is also a good budget option, but do not get this if you're serious about cube. Instead, you should get the X-Man Wingy, probably one of the best cubes on the market. I think that a version 2 just released right after I bought this, so I mean I kind of missed out, but if you guys want a Wingy, you guys can buy the Wingy too. And as you can see, this cube has kind of like a concave design, which is really good for cube solvers because it gives them a better grip. And finally, this is the Moyu Ow something. I'll put it on screen right here. And I actually didn't like it when I unboxed it at first, but then now I started turning it more. It's actually starting to grow on me. And the only thing I don't like about this cube is the noise. Here are my square ones. As you can see, this one is absolutely destroyed. It was also in the same lineup as the old Chi cubes. And this is the X-Man Volts cube. And once again, I didn't like this out of the box, but just like the Moyu cube, after turning it a little bit, it's actually starting to grow on me. These are my 2 Megaminxes. This was my first ever Megaminx that I used for a long time, but now I'm so glad I have a good Megaminx because now I can finally enjoy solving this puzzle. This is the Diane Megaminx, and it's probably one of the best options if you don't have a lot of money and can't afford the GAN. And finally, here is the Chi clock. I actually find this puzzle very interesting. I think it's a little bit overhated and kind of forgotten by the WCA, but I mean, it's still a pretty fun puzzle. And of course, this is a Chi clock. It's like really the only good one on the market. These are all of my fruit cubes. These two are the easier ones because they turn straight, as you can see. However, these 2 cubes, they don't turn parallel to their normal shape, which makes them a lot harder to solve. And of course, we cannot forget about this guy, which is a penguin 2x2 that is really fun to play with. Here are all of my mirror blocks puzzles. This is the GAN mirror blocks, and it is so good for mirror blocks. Of course, you would expect that from GAN, but it just kind of amazes me how good you can make a mirror blocks like this. This was my first ever mirror blocks that I used for the longest time. This is called a floppy mirror ghost, or something along the lines of that. And the thing about it is it actually has 5 different sides you can turn it on. It's kind of like a Megaminx. And finally, I have 3 2x2 mirror blocks for absolutely no reason, and one thing that's annoyed me for so long is that one of them is actually slightly larger than the other 2. I have a ton of weird puzzles, and these are only the ones that are cubic. This is the Chi Axis cube. Ever since I unboxed it, I never really touched it because it looked a little bit too intimidating to me, but one day I will solve this cube. This is the Chi Ivy cube, and this is one of the easiest puzzles you'll ever get your hands on. It's super easy. You can just turn randomly and this will solve by itself. This is the Ready cube, and it turns by rotating around one of these corners. This cube is also very easy because every single turn only turns a few of its pieces, while the remainder of the cube is unaffected. This is the Chi Dino cube, which is also a very easy puzzle. As you can see, you just turn around the corners as well, but this time it's a little bit different because there's less pieces. This is called the Super Cube, and this is one of my favorite cubes ever, just because of how much you can do with it, and it's such a creative design with the cut triangles, and it's a lot of fun to solve. This is a gear cube. It looks very intimidating, but it's actually really easy to solve because you can just turn in one direction and it'll solve by itself. I am aware that there is a harder version of this with little pieces in the middle that can get unsolved. Now let's play a game. Let's see if you can tell apart which one of these puzzles is different from the other 2. If you guessed the middle one, you were right. This is called the Fisher cube, while the other 2 are the exact same thing called the Windmill cube. I don't know why I have 2 of these, but I like these more because their checkerboard pattern just looks so cool. Just look at this. Here are all of my rectangular cubes. This is called a container cube. I don't know what this has to do with a container. If you look really closely, this is actually the same as a scube. Well, how is this a scube? To answer that question, you can go on YouTube and search up. There's so many great tutorials for this cube. These two cubes are called cuboids. They're different cubes though. This is a 3 by 3 by 2. Which you can do some very interesting stuff with, and this is a 3 by 2 by 2, which is really easy to solve. You can figure this out in like 5 minutes. And finally, I don't know if this is considered as a Rubik's cube. It's called the infinity cube, and the reason it's called an infinity cube is because you can just keep on doing this forever. And also, if you didn't know, this actually consists of 2 different parts that are just smushed together to make this. These are 3 Rubik's cubes that I really like. This is called the Penrose cube. As you can see, it only has 3 colors and every 2 sides are bandaged like this. This is called a Kilominx, which is basically a 2x2 Megaminx, and it turns surprisingly well for absolutely no reason. And finally, this is the Twisty Rubik's cube. I love this design. It is so cool. It was one of my favorite cubes in my collection, and so much that I even put a Yo sticker on it, which is very off-center. We don't talk about that. And finally, I proudly present to you the hardest cube in my collection that I own, the 1x1. All jokes aside, this is purely a collector's item, and I guess its only practical use is acting as a dice. Along with just cubes in my collection, I also have a lot of accessories such as bags. These are not including all of the ones that I threw out. Here are my blindfolds, cubing cards. These are all of my cube stands. And finally, look at how many cubing pamphlets I have. Every single one of these is a Rubik's Cube pamphlet. Yes, I have this many. Here are all of the cubing boxes that I've kept. I also have a nice cubing bag that I can take wherever I go. These are all of my cubing mats. At least the ones I could find. 2 stack mat timers. And these are all of my main accessories that I labeled tools, as you can see. My loot collection is pretty small, but trust me, it's gonna grow soon. Oh, and I almost forgot. This is my GAN robot. I actually unboxed this from China, so that's probably why you haven't heard from it in this channel. So that is my Rubik's Cube collection. But wait, we have one more cube to unbox. Did you get the hint from somewhere random in the video of what this cube may be? Well, we're about to find out. It's a Chi cube, as you can see. Oh, I'm excited. Oh, it's another fluffy cube. This was my old one. I have 2 of these now. And in case you missed it, when I was presenting this, I said that another one of these was sitting in one of my boxes. And I even have another one of these sitting in a box somewhere. So if you got that hint, good job. But now I have 2 of these to add to my collection. And also, this pamphlet can be added to my pamphlet collection. And yeah, that is my Rubik's Cube collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.